Hi guys, today we are going to discuss about the new SAT, the digital SAT, which has been recently launched by the College Board. It has come as a welcome change in which there are a lot of features which are advantageous for the students that have been released in the new SAT, and there are certain things which have remained the same, which is similar to the older SAT. So today we are going to discuss in detail about the new digital SAT program and how we at SIC will be able to help you out for your preparation. And you should stay tuned with us for more details that you would want for the digital SAT. So, if you are a student, if you are a parent who wants to guide their children for the new digital SAT, if you are a faculty, if you are a trainer who is training students for the new digital SAT, this is a session or this is something that you should really attend and get on with so that you can get a idea in detail about the latest trends, the latest happenings, and the latest news about digital SAT. So without further ado, let's start with the session. So moving on to the first slide. So many people might think that because of the COVID, which was going on, because of the changings that are happening in the SAT, initially in 2016, the SC section of the SAT was removed. Then there were certain changes that were made in the pattern of SAT. Is SAT still important? Is SAT equally important as it was initially, as it has been since so many years? So, yes, the answer is yes, SAT is still important. And why is SAT important? SAT is important because it checks a candidate's academic accomplishments. Now, there are more than 70, 100 countries across the world from where students apply to foreign colleges, majorly in the US, and also other educational, highly educational institutions, colleges, and universities. And more than 70 of these countries accept your SAT score. So now, how will the colleges and universities judge student on a uniform level? How will the colleges and universities be able to, standardize the scores? Because every college, every university might have a different criteria. Some colleges, we have percentage, we have CGPA, we have GPA. So these are all different parameters and different criteria on which students are graded. But SAT exam will tie all of these students in a common parameter. SAT is thus a common parameter which will help universities decide in conceptualizing the achievement of the students in taking a informed decision about the capabilities of the students, especially the academic accomplishments, focusing on two main subjects, that is English and maths, quant and verbal. So this is, you could say, a standardized international aptitude test. So you can call SAT as a standardized international aptitude test, which is taken by all students who want to apply for a graduate program, who wants to go for a graduation in countries except their home countries, in foreign universities. And many colleges nowadays, especially if I talk about India, they have also started accepting the SAT exam, not only for foreign students but also for Indian students. So day by day, SAT is becoming a standardized testing, you could say, tool or a standardized parameter, which will help the universities and the colleges calibrate the level of the talent of the students. Okay. Also, not only is SAT an important parameter in your admission and important parameter in your applications, but if you get a high SAT score, then SAT also gives you a lucrative opportunity for scholarships. So there are certain scholarships which are offered by colleges, universities. There are also certain scholarships which are offered by maybe private organizations, which are offered country-wise, which are offered by different foundations. So for applying to most of these, for applying to a number of these, you will require your SAT score. So a good SAT score will not only help you get admission to your dream university or your dream college, but a good SAT score will also help you in gathering good scholarship opportunities. Okay, so whether or not at this point your college or the university where you are planning to apply to is asking for a SAT score, the SAT score or a high SAT score will definitely be a plus point in your profile, and it will help you in securing a scholarship in the long run. Okay, so nobody would or nobody should feel that SAT is no longer of importance or SAT is becoming shorter, or because of the digital SAT which is coming up, it is going to become, like a choice of whether we should give the SAT or not. That is not the case. SAT will remain important, and it will remain a crucial parameter on which the students will be judged when they will be selected for undergrad programs. Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, let's discuss in detail what is changing and what is remaining same on your SAT. So now we will call SAT as digital SAT. So new SAT, old SAT might also be one way of referring to the exams, but we will majorly refer to as the new SAT exam as digital SAT, because the major change which has happened is that the SAT is going digital, or the SAT is going to become a computer based test rather than being a pen and paper based exam. So I think SAT was one of the very few international exams which was still pen and paper based. Most of your other international exams are online, like your IELTS, TOEFL, or you have your GRE, GMAT, which is for postgrad admissions. So SAT was one of the very few tests which was still pen and paper based, and it was a long awaited change which finally college board has embraced, or college board has brought about, that they have transitioned from the older pen and paper based version to this digital SAT. Okay, so some of the changes that we will see in the digital SAT is that you will be now able to take the SAT exam 7 times in a year instead of 5. Okay, so initially when SAT was a pen and paper version, then there were fixed dates and fixed times in the year when you could have taken your SAT exam. So instead of 5 attempts in 1 year, now you will be able to give 7 attempts in a year. Students will definitely take the exam on a PC, laptop, or a tablet. This PC, laptop, or tablet can be the student can get his or her PC, laptop to the examination center. Yes, one thing which will remain same is that SAT will be conducted at an examination center, and you will have to go to the examination center to give the SAT exam. But it will happen on a computer or on a system. This can be taken by you, like I said, or if a student does not have one or may not wish to take their own device, a device will be provided to them by the examination center. Okay, the exam, another very crucial and important change which has happened is that the SAT exam will now become shorter. Okay, so instead of the initial 3 hour long exam, now you will be having a 2 hour exam instead of the 3 hour exam. So this is one very welcome change which has happened as the SAT has transitioned from the pen and paper version to your online version, that the exam has become shorter. So there is less fatigue, because there was a lot of complaints that I have heard from students related to fatigue during the SAT exam, a lot of anxiety which is there. So definitely now we will be able to handle it better because the exam has become shorter in duration. Okay, so this is definitely a sigh of relief, which I think with me many of you must have taken right now, hearing this happy change which has happened. Another very positive change on the SAT, or a change which will be advantageous for the students, that now you have calculator to your access throughout the math section. So calculator will be allowed, and students will be able to use the calculator throughout the math section. Initially in the older SAT, there used to be two sections of maths, that is quant. one with calculator and one without calculator. So in one section you could use the calculator, but in the other calculator usage was not allowed. But now you will be able to use the calculator for both, like for all the questions of maths. There are no separate sections. Coming to the sections and how the breakup will be there is the next topic that we are going to discuss. But before that, shedding some light on some of the parameters that will remain unchanged in the new SAT. First and foremost, the SAT will still test you on maths and English. That is, it will still test you on your skills of quant and verbal, reading skills and writing skills, and your math skills. But definitely there has been a change in the type of question, in the pattern of question. More to follow on this in our session after some time. Definitely these are also some topics that we'll cover in our session today. One of the other things that remains same is that SAT is still going to be scored out of 1600. So your SAT will still be scored out of 1600, where 800 is quant and 800 is for verbal. The SAT, like I told you, will also in the same way happen at a center, just that instead of pen and paper, instead of question paper, OMR sheet and your rough sheet, etc., you will be performing, or you will be giving the exam on a PC or a computer. So that is one thing which is going to remain the same. Definitely, you will be provided with material to do your rough work, because you can't do your rough work on your PC or computer. But the exam, the questions, the answers that you will have to read and attempt will be on the system itself. Okay. So if you want to explore more about this, how the digital version will look like, more about the look and feel of the digital version, you are more than welcome to log into the official website of SAT, which is College Board, and there you will find a blue book app which they will ask you to download, and that app will give you a preliminary idea, and it will give you a look and feel of how the digital SAT paper would be like. So students who want to gain more information about the pattern, the look and feel of the digital SAT exam, they can download the Blue Book. The name of the app is Blue Book. The Blue Book app, which is College Board's official app for digital SAT preparation. Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, shedding some more light on what will be required for the digital SAT, because yes, it's changing from a pen and paper based exam to a digital exam, so the requirements will also change. First and foremost, you would require a laptop or a tablet or a personal computer. Okay. Your device, if you bring your own device, you should be, you know, you should be uh, or you should charge the device at least one day in advance, and it should be at its maximum capacity, maximum battery capacity. The device should have a capacity to hold charge for at least 3 hours. If not, or if this is not the case, then you can also bring your charger along to the examination center, so that your device does not conk off, or it does not switch off during the time when you are giving the exam. So in order to avoid any such kind of technicalities or difficulties during the attempt of the exam, you should have your device fully charged and your charger with you. Okay. The device should also have good proper internet connectivity. You don't have to carry your own internet with you, like your own internet setup device, like maybe a dongle or something. Wi-Fi will definitely will be provided to you at the center, but your device should be able to connect to the internet. Okay, there should not be any problem that it's restricted to only, you know, LAN connection or Wi-Fi connection. Anything of the two might be available at the examination center. Pens and pencils for rough work will have to be brought by you, that is the student, but the rough paper or the scratch paper will be provided at the center itself. So the examination center, your invigilators are going to provide you with rough paper or scratch paper. You will definitely have your admission ticket or your appointment ticket with you when you go for the SAT exam, with your valid ID proof, that is your passport. Okay, and you will also bring your calculator along for use on the mathematics section. So a calculator which is allowed by the college board people, a accepted calculator which is accepted according to the conditions of college board for the SAT exam, will be allowed on the math section of the paper, and that also is something which you will have to bring along. Okay, so these are some of the details, some of the things which are on a broader level that showcase the changes which have happened on the SAT. So further going into detail about these specifications, about these changes which have happened on the SAT on a more individual subject level, we will come now to the discussion about the SAT particular sections, that is English section and math section. So initially you guys must be knowing, for people who are retakers or maybe they are giving the SAT exam again, that the initially there used to be four sections on the SAT: one for reading, one for writing, one maths with calculator, and one maths without calculator. Now these four sections have been merged, or you can say English may reading and English, the English sections reading and writing have been merged into one section, that is collectively your English section. Okay, and your maths is also collectively one section, because the calculator is now allowed on the complete maths section. Okay, so on the older SAT in reading and writing, you had a total of 96 questions, and your reading and writing sections combined were for approximately 1.5 hours. Okay, but now you just have one subject, that is English, and in English you will have two modules. So you will not have two different sections, as in the two modules will be in such a way that both modules will have questions of reading and writing both. Okay, so your first module will have 27 questions, and the second module will again have 27 questions. A very important thing to note here, that you should know and you should be aware, that SAT is slightly becoming adaptive, like other international aptitude tests like GRE and GMAT, which also showcase some adaptiveness in their test format. SAT is also becoming adaptive, wherein your two modules will be adaptive. So what do we mean by adaptive? Adaptive means the test will adapt to the standard of the student, to the level of the student. So what will happen, that for example your first set or first module which has 27 questions, if you do well on that set or on that module, the next module that you will get, you will feel that the questions are a little bit higher in level, or the questions are a little bit tougher. So what is going to happen, that the questions will adapt, or the module has adapted to the level of the student. Or if you don't do that well in your first module, you will notice that the second module is relatively on a medium to easy level. Okay, so the exam has adapted to the level of the student. So this is a feature, or this is a new feature which you are going to notice for the first time on your SAT exam. Okay, the adaptive nature of the exam. And definitely when the number of questions has reduced, the time will also reduce. The total time, like I told you, for your previous old SAT was about 1.5 hours, that was around 100 minutes, where you used to get 1 minute per question. Now your total time for 54 questions will be 64 minutes, which is also around a minute per question, a little bit more than a minute, but approximately you can say that it is still about a minute per question. One of the other major changes, so majorly I can say that the changes which have happened from the pen and paper based, that is the old SAT, to the new digital SAT, most of the changes are there concerning the English or the verbal portion, because more changes have happened in the verbal portion, that is the English portion of the exam, rather than the quant portion, because maths will remain the same, only there will be a particular question, you will have some options, so it will be a multiple choice question, and there will be one correct answer wherein you have to mark the correct answer. But in maths, no two questions can be related to each other, they were always separate questions only. But in English, what used to happen, you used to have comprehensions. You used to have long passages, and with one passage or for one passage, you used to have 10 or 11 questions. Okay. So you used to have 10 or 11 questions for one passage, and you had to read about passages of 90 to 100 lines. So this is something which is going to get quashed in your new digital SAT, wherein you will have discrete questions. What do I mean by discrete questions? Discrete questions means your questions will be consisting of information in small sets. That means maybe only 4 to 5 lines, not more than that. And your questions will be in such a way that there will be one question per information. So for example, you have answered the question, then when you move to the next question, your information will also change. So you will be having information only for that particular question. As soon as the question changes, your information or paragraph or poetry or just whatever is given to you will change. Okay. So now in English also you will be having discrete questions wherein the data for that particular question will be present in the form of like a small paragraph, not long passages. There, the tradition of long comprehensions, very lengthy reading comprehension is actually ending with the pen and paper based SAT. The new SAT, the digital SAT, does not have lengthy material. It will not have lengthy paragraphs, lengthy passages for you to read. This is again a very happy and a welcome change which is happening in the SAT. There were so many students who had struggled with reading long passages, trying to retain information, what all they have read in the passage, then going back to the passage again and again because they can't retain so much information that is needed to answer the questions. This has been a big pain point for most of the students who are preparing for the SAT. So this is all something which has been greatly reduced in the digital SAT format. So these are some of the you could say advantageous changes. One of the things that I have again noticed, or that is another difference which is there, is that the older SAT only used to test students on prose. Prose means like passages, that is literature, or maybe history, or passages related to social studies. But you will see that in your newer SAT, sometimes you will also have questions in which they will have some reference to poetry or some lines of poetry in the options, or maybe in the you could say the small question that is given to you. So definitely this is something which has changed, that your newer SAT will not only focus on prose, but it will also have some poetic elements or some questions from poetic elements in the exam. Okay. So these are some of the changes which have happened in your English portion, that is the reading and writing portion of digital SAT. So yes, many of these things I have already discussed, but I would just recapitulate. Like we just discussed, there will be only one test for reading and writing. There will not be any separate sections. SAT has combined reading and writing into one topic. Second, definitely we will be having shorter passages instead of the lengthy and tiring reading comprehensions. Now we will just have short passages that will be 4 to 5 lines in length, and there will be only one question associated with each passage or each paragraph. So question, paragraph, both will keep on changing. And there will be definitely a higher variety of questions, a greater number of questions that are going to be there, because there is more information which will be there on your exam. So these are some of the changes which have happened in the digital SAT. Now, as you can see on my screen, this is just a model. This is a model example of a question of your English section, that is your reading and writing section, wherein you can see you have a small paragraph of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. Okay. There is one single question. There are 4 options. Like we used to have initially, also we used to have 4 options. Now also we have 4 options. But this is one single question, and the information, whatever is required to answer this particular question, is evident from this paragraph. Now, when I will move to the next question on my screen, this paragraph will also change and the question will also change. I will not have questions which will be related to one another or questions which will be from one particular paragraph only. Okay. So this is just a model example of a English question. Okay. So now moving towards the next part, that is the math section of the digital SAT. So some of the things which have changed and the changes that have taken place in the math section. Some normal changes related to number of questions and timing, because as I have iterated before also that the new SAT, the digital SAT is going to be shorter. So therefore there will be less number of questions and the time duration will also be less. But there is a one happy change or a welcome change that has happened. That is, it has become that calculator is allowed in all the questions. So the older SAT used to have 58 questions and there were two separate sections with and without calculator. Now you are going to have only like one section with, sorry, you are going to have only one section with two modules. That is, you are going to have your maths with calculator in all questions. 44 questions in total, that means two modules of 22 questions, and maths and quant, that is maths or quant, will also be adaptive like your verbal section. So 22 questions will be given to you in one go, and then depending on how you will perform on those 22 questions, you will be given 22 more questions, which might be harder or easier or of a medium level depending on how you have performed in your previous section. Okay. Then definitely, because the number of questions has reduced, your total time is also going to get reduced. Your total time is going to get reduced from 80 minutes to 70 minutes. Number of questions have also reduced. So initially you used to get about 1.4 minutes per question. Now you will get around 1.6 minutes per question. That means approximately I can say 1.5 minutes per question. Okay. So 1.5 minutes per question, and all the questions will be MCQs and grid-ins. So initially also maths had MCQ and grid-in questions. Grid-in is where you have to write the response. So initially you used to write the response. Now you will select or you will type the response. Okay. So grid-in and MCQ were in the ratio 80 to 20 in the older SAT. In the digital SAT, this ratio has slightly changed and they will come in the ratio of 75 to 25. Okay. So your MCQs and grid-ins will be in the ratio of 75 to 25 in the newer SAT. Okay. So these are some of the changes which have happened in your digital SAT in the math section. So again, recapitulating the pointers that we have just discussed, major change which has happened in the math section is usage of calculator. Other than that, I don't feel that there is going to be any major change in the type of question that you will see, because initially also maths used to have standalone questions only, that means discrete questions. So now also the questions will remain discrete. Okay. Calculators will now be allowed throughout the section. So digital calculator will also be there, or it will be present on your screen when you will be giving the exam. So if you don't have a calculator with you, you can also use the digital calculator. Okay. And that will be integrated in your exam experience. But I think you are also allowed, you are definitely allowed to bring your own calculator. Okay. One of the other things which we have noticed or which we have come across as we have seen the types of questions or the different types of questions that are going to be on your digital SAT, the math section specifically, that the length of the questions have been reduced. You will notice that initially in SAT, the questions used to be very lengthy or the questions used to be very long. Okay. So you will see that now the length of the questions is not going to be so lengthy. The questions are going to be reduced in length. It will be easy to understand the question. They will not be so wordy that you are not able to understand the context. So this is something which is again a welcome or a positive change in the digital SAT. So more or less, I can say that the digital SAT is an exam which is becoming more, which is making the SAT a more easier exam for the students, because they are trying to do away with the parts of SAT which used to make a student very anxious and very frustrated about giving the SAT exam, especially the length of the paper, which used to be 3 hours. Now it is reduced to 2 hours. And the frustration and anxiety of reading long, long passages which you are not able to understand, you are not able to retain the information. Then you are looking for tips and tricks, to solve the questions, how to go to that particular location, how to remember what location I have to go to. So these are all changes which are being made by the SAT, which have been put into effect in the digital SAT. And I think this is for the reason that they know, and they have also evolved with the times, and they know what and how to test a student. So maybe giving lengthy passages and giving, exams for 3 hours, 4 hours is not the correct way to test the acumen, to test the aptitude of the students. So all of these changes which are happening, they have been a very positive change, and they have been receiving a very positive response from the students who have been taking the SAT exam, students who have taken the SAT exam, and students who will be taking the SAT exam. They have definitely regarded that these all changes are very positive and very welcome changes that are going to happen. Okay. So this was majorly our discussion about the digital SAT. I hope that you got a clear picture of what will be the changes that have happened from the pen and paper based SAT to the new SAT, that is the digital SAT. We here at SIEC have been helping students. We have been preparing students for SAT for a long time, and now we are also ready to transition with the students from the pen and paper based version to the digital version. We have trained faculty who will be able to help you out preparing for the digital SAT. We have structured classes, assignments, we have an online portal, all of the resources that you would need for preparing for a digital SAT, for gearing up for the next generation of SAT exam are available with us, and we will be more than happy to help you guys in your journey in preparation for the digital SAT exam. So for any details, for any doubts, write to us. You can comment down below on this video, or you can also, contact us on our different social media platforms on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And do not forget to like, share this video, and distribute it among your friends, distribute it among people who are preparing for the SAT, who are going to write the digital SAT. And please subscribe to the channel for more content, for more updated information about the digital SAT and foreign education. Thank you so much.